Welcome back, everyone, to our Let's Play series of Motorsport Manager. So after our last race, team standings, we are now well out ahead, nearly double the points of the second place team, and our drivers are first and seventh, respectively, in the Drivers' Championship. So we're doing well, and as I mentioned in the previous video, unfortunately, there were some audio problems with this portion of the video in the last couple of videos, so I didn't get to include those. Hopefully we won't have any of those issues this time around. But as I mentioned, one of the things that I've been doing is working hard on brakes, going through either 2 or 3 iterations at this point of development. So let's go ahead and start out our video by going through some of these messages. And okay, we've got a wonderful interview here. Let's go ahead and get that out of the way. What was the key to success? Okay, so we've got not a whole lot here as far as room for happiness improvement, so that wasn't okay. So Sergio struggled. Okay, so that gives us a little bit of extra. In fact, it looked like it pegged his morale, so good thing there. We get our morale boost for winning the race from Raphael. And let's see. Okay, and our brake build is finished. So with that in mind, let's go ahead and come in and take a look at that. Now, we can't improve our parts yet. We'll need to actually move forward a couple of days for that. But let's take a look. We started out 352 and 370 for our 2 brakes. Now we are up over 400, well over 400, with room for improvement on each. So we're at 459 max on both of these. And with this one, we had an extra bonus, a plus 50 on soft, supers, and ultras, which of course is what we spend probably 95% of our time on. The extra 5% would be whenever it rains. So we're in great position for that. Now, let's take a look at what we're going to need for our next race in Dubai. We're going to need top speed, deceleration, and high-speed corners. Well, of course, top speed and high-speed corners are spec parts, so no worries there about taking care of those. But deceleration, so we've got our new brakes here just in time. So what we're going to want to do on those is make sure that we have the reliability for these all the way up, because you can see I made some sacrifices. Normally we would start out a new part with 40% reliability. Well, we're only going to get 20% because one of the sacrifices I made was to get a little bit more speed, or ultimate speed, getting up to 459 on the max, versus the possibility of more reliability to start with. So we're going to have to focus on reliability, but that's nothing new and nothing that we're going to particularly worry about. But let's take a quick look here at a new design for brakes. Say 459, how much higher can we get that? And the reason I'm looking at brakes is because for these other 2 parts, I don't have any new buildings, so there's really nothing I can do for them that's going to be a monstrous improvement there. But I do have buildings for each of these. So let's see what we've got. Now we can get into the grate, and there you see the plus 50 there. All right, so we've got 4 of the 5 unlocked. There's a plus 20, a plus 25. Now, I'm under the belief that most, if not all of this, will not carry over into the next tier if we're fortunate enough to win the championship. So it's really not that big of a deal for this point forward. I feel like we've probably about maxed out everything we can. All right, so plus 40 there, and let's see, plus, no, we don't want that one. We don't want that one. So even if we built with this one, which of course gives us a risk level, and unfortunately we don't have any way to reduce a risk level on this particular part like we do the gearbox. So, I could do that. You can see we're up to 494. So not bad at all. But at the same time, we can get up higher, no doubt, if we wanted to. But I'm just not seeing any particular reason to do that. So we're going to I think stay with this, and that's maybe the last parts we develop, unless I'm poking around and see that we can make a gearbox that's even better than 680. There, okay. So let's go ahead and move forward a couple of days. All right, we got sponsorship offers coming in. So we've got 2 offers here. Let's see if I missed one. Nope, just the 2. So we'll come back to that a little bit later when we finally get that last one. All right, so Rafael's got an investment opportunity. And let's see, it's in the Caribbean. Apparently there's a hole right after the land. Okay. And I made some serious cash off the back of it. All right. He wants to invest back in the team. So here's a percentage of what I got. No, it's not much, but it might help to pay for a new gearbox or something. Okay, so he's making an investment in the team, and that is going to add a new, special to his portfolio, and we'll see what happens there. So let's go ahead and accept the investment, and it's $250,000. Okay, so we get a little bit of extra money. And there, okay, very nicely done. So he's paying us back a little bit. Of course, if you know, that's about half of a race salary for him, or actually maybe a little bit less than that now that I think about it. But very nice. He wants to buy back into the team. All right, let's take a look at the car. Okay, so we're still not quite there. Car repair is now finished, so we can come back in, and so we've got 31 days. And of course, with our 31 days, we're going to want to spend those entirely on reliability. And it says we won't be completely done until 4 days after the race. But that, of course, that is getting to 100%. So that's okay. We're just going to get them up as high as we can. And our other 2 parts, we're at 91% for the engine, which of course is not quite high enough if we want to push as hard as we can for the entire race, but it will have to do. And the rear wing will be an issue as well. So we're going to have probably some reliability issues in this next race. But again, we'll see how that goes. Okay, so no new parts being developed. Don't really see the reason for that. Right now, you notice we got some new scouting reports going on. I've made a huge list for scouting purposes of new drivers, and they're actually down here at the bottom. And essentially what I'm doing is I'm just going through and scouting. I started off by scouting the 2nd tier series, all the drivers, in preparation of when Rafael's contract is up. That will put him at about 34 years of age whenever that happens. And at some point around that time, drivers start to begin losing their skill. So I'm not looking at a 34-year-old driver, which seems odd to say 34 years old is old for anything, but a 34-year-old driver, and I'm not wanting to lock him into a long-term deal. So I may be looking to fill this slot, and who knows, possibly this one as well, whenever we get to that point. So that's why I'm doing that. Looks like we've got our last sponsorship slot opening up. So let's see what we've got. So obviously these positions want us to win or finish 2nd. All right, so we got a nice size bonus here. We've got a home bonus that is 4 times. 4 times. Wow, that would be huge if you get that. Plus, as I notice it, it's really not that big of a difference there. But we've got a huge bonus there. And let's take a look at why that could be very important. So if we come over and see, the very last race of the season is, guess what? In America. So if we come back in, okay, United States home bonus, we're definitely going to accept this. This is 2nd or above. So if we can finish at least 2nd in that final race of the season, we are in for quite a nice chunk of money. So we're going to want to put everything we can toward that final race. Now, so what does the final race entail? Well, if we come in to our calendar, click down on Phoenix, you can see it's the oval race, not the road course like we do earlier in the year. But we've got top speed and high speed corners. Well, both of those are spec parts, so the field will be equal there. Then you've got acceleration is useful. And of course, we have the best acceleration on the grid. So we should be in good shape. We just need to make sure we have all the acceleration we possibly can by that time. All right, let's see. We've got a couple of scouting reports finished. Not really too terribly concerned about those. Let's take a quick glance and see how we're doing here. So we're up to 36% in roughly a week. in game time. We'll let the other tiers work their way through. Let's go ahead and continue moving forward. Hopefully we can get reliability extremely high. Okay, looks like we got a lower tier race that's coming up here where it'll pause. And we've got our scouting reports. We'll go ahead and click on that just to get rid of the icon down here. Okay, we got those. We'll click through those. Approve parts. Okay, we're up to 68% now. We have 10 days remaining. Okay, as much as I would love to increase these engines up to 100%, it's more important right now that we get the brakes as high as humanly possible. Again, we're hoping for a minimum of 80 on the brake reliability, so we'll have to see how close to that we can get. And now we got an upper tier race. Go ahead and look at the upcoming vote. Okay, what are we voting on? Let's see. Oh, so we want to, now we've got somebody wanting to get our favor of voting for the spec brakes. Now, I don't really care one way or another on this because I don't plan on being in this series, but let's see. Let's go ahead and just turn that down. Not that the money wouldn't be a nice addition, but at the same time. All right, so now we're at our 80% for the brakes, and we got 6 days remaining there. That is actually the same as our rear wing now. So I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to give it, okay, let's click through some of this stuff. And, okay, so we're at 84%. So let's go ahead and clear those out. Because one of the things I want to do is, there you go, 3 hours before the race. So we're going to make it to 100% for those if we wanted to, but we don't need that. What we need is up here, 1 day before the race. So excellent. That'll get us to 100%. And the reason I'm doing that is if you have to, if worse comes to worse and we have to end up fixing the brakes, they don't take very long to fix during a race. They, I think, take about the least amount of time. Same thing with a wing. It generally doesn't take that long, but if you have to fix an engine or a gearbox, then that's a huge deal. It takes 2 to 3 times as long to do that, I believe. So we're going to try to get our engines all the way full to 100% and see if we can get rid of some of these nagging messages that we get toward the end of races saying that our engine is about to run out, because, hey, I want to run these things full out for as much as we possibly can. All right, so we're down to our time is almost up. And okay, 3 days left. It says we're going to be done with this 1 day before the race. And sure enough, I saw the message pop in that reliability work is complete. So now both engines are at 100%. So we are ready to get done on that. So for the time being, I tell you what, let's go ahead and add these two in. And we'll go ahead and get them up at the beginning of this next time. We'll get them up to 100% or at least very close, at least 90. And then we'll start to work more on some of this performance. All right, let's choose our bonus here. With this is going to be tricky because you say, well, you know, you want to go for this. I mean, obviously that would be awesome. But our brakes are below standard here. And if we, again, come back in here, you see we got 2 spec parts and then a part that we are actually lower on. So it might actually make sense to choose 4th or above for this particular circumstance. Again, the money is not, you know, a monstrous concern for us right now. So I'm going to go with a little bit less. Now, if we were at a race where acceleration was key and all that kind of thing, then I'd definitely be choosing this one. But for our purposes here, I don't think that requiring a second play finish is probably the best idea for us. So we're going to go ahead and play it a little bit safe here and try to get what we can get. All right, but like I said, regardless, it's not going to make that much difference because we're probably not going to get it for qualifying anyway. Qualifying is usually not our strong suit. All right, so you can see here we've got these. We'll go ahead and divvy these out and make sure that everything else looks like we want it to look. No surprises. Okay, so everything looks good there. Both drivers are at least content, if not happy about the type of car they have. And so I believe we're ready to race. Practice and qualifying are now out of the way, and it is time to move to the race. And we had a great qualifying session. We'll take a look at exactly where both of these drivers came in just a second. But first, let's take a look at our knowledge bonuses. We had maximum bonuses for both the super soft tires and race trim on both cars. So that is exactly what I was hoping for. We'll take a look at our setup. We'll start with Sergio. He qualified in 8th, which doesn't sound all that great, but we only got him to a 93% setup. I actually meant to work on that a little bit more, but during qualifying, they threw a few wrinkles at me, and I was trying to get as close as I could to a clean track for him to get a good qualifying lap, and simply forgot to make another adjustment there. So we're going to go with this. 93 isn't terrible. So, but here's how the race will break down. We're running 18 laps. So that sets up nicely for either a 1 or a 2-stop strategy. Now, most of the time, 2-stop is the safe way to go, and I think that is the case here as well. But 1-stop, given where these tires are, and if you look, the tires, the super softs, which are of course the faster tire, are estimated to last at least 9 laps to 11 laps for Sergio. It's a little bit different for Rodriguez because he's a little bit easier on tires. So 9 to 11 laps. Well, to run a 1-stop strategy, you need it to last, your tires to last 9 laps. But I just don't trust Sergio with the tires. So I'm going to go ahead and run a 2-stop strategy for him. So, but we are going to use the super softs. So because of that, we're going to put 9 laps. Of course, this shows as 9 laps. I wish they wouldn't do that because it's a bit misleading. This should actually get us a bit over 6 laps running, again, as hard as we possibly can with the engine. So we're going to run 6, 6, and 6 on our stints for him. If we come into Rafael, he qualified on the pole, much better than I was thinking because of our brake performance being well below average. So that was a very pleasant surprise, but the field is pretty narrow, as you would expect, given that 2 of the 3 crucial parts are spec parts. So that part makes sense, but I really didn't think we would have this type of performance. You can see his setup at 97%, great setup, and we're going to run a 1-stop strategy for him because you can see 10 to 12 laps on the super softs. Well, of course, we need those to last 9 laps. So I think we're in good shape here. I feel much more comfortable about doing that strategy with him. Of course, that means we're going to be carrying more fuel, which is going to be a little interesting given that he's starting up front. Hopefully he can remain up in at least the top 2 or 3 positions through the first cycle of pit stops for those 2-stop strategy folks. So again, we'll see how all this plays out. He's starting up front, and I would love for him to start there. But I really think in this case, given the tire, I really think a 1-stop strategy is perfect for Rodriguez, sort of tailor-made for him. And again, I have enough fuel on board for him to run 9 laps, again, full out. Okay, so we'll go ahead and confirm that. Let's finally take a look at our driver strategy. As always, I start both cars out to push. The reason I don't go with full attack mode is because you really greatly increase the risk of a flat spot. And if you get a flat spot, that takes at least 20, maybe more percentage of the wear out of the tire, which would kill my strategy, particularly for Rafael. Doesn't mean it can't happen when you're pushing or any other time, but you greatly increase the odds, and I'm definitely not interested in that for him. Now for Sergio, again, we're just looking for a clean start. And again, I don't want to push quite so hard for him because I think we can get some clean air in here and hopefully run some good laps for him as well. But we don't want to kill the tires, and he tends to be harder on tires. Now, I do estimate that I'm going to change this from push down to normal very quickly based off of where we were in practice. And what I mean by that is, in practice, the tires heated up to this middle temperature very quickly. All right, so as expected, we were under some heat there at the very beginning. If we can get a little bit of a lead here, I will not hesitate to back down off of these tires. Again, I'm basically watching tire temps right now, trying to see when these tire temps get up toward the middle, as we're getting to now. Okay, so now we're up to the middle. I'm going to go ahead and back off. I'm going to keep it a little bit longer for Sergio. See if he can't pick up maybe a spot or two, but I will not let his get much higher. Okay, now Rodriguez is out to a very comfortable lead this early on. I did not expect this. So now we got to be looking at tire wear. Okay, Sergio, I'm going to back off his tires. We let him run a little bit longer. So 1st and 7th, that is very good here at the beginning, particularly considering Rodriguez is carrying the additional fuel for the additional laps he's going to try to run. Okay, what we don't know right now is what other strategies are being employed. You know, if Rodriguez is on a one-stop strategy and everybody behind him, between him and Sergio, are on a two-stop strategy, then that puts us in a great position for the race, and it makes me look silly for not being more aggressive in our sponsorship objective. But I can live with that. I'll always take performance that is better than expected rather than worse than expected. All right, we are now out to a 5.1 second lead, and we now have, as I need to, you can tell the tire temperatures are starting to creep up, so I need to back down even more and be even more conservative. Again, I'm trying to keep it doesn't bother me that they get a little bit above that middle line, but I don't want them getting very much at all above that middle line if I can help it. So now I've backed them both down to as conservative as I can be without actually issuing team orders, which I really don't want to do. I have no interest in team orders. I'm a NASCAR guy, and the idea of team orders is just against my nature. Okay, so we got 13 laps remaining. So here we are at lap 6. So what I want to have happen is Sergio to come in next time by. So let's go ahead and queue up his pit. So he's done a great start. He's in 6th position. That is exactly what we need from him. All right, so 6 laps. That will be a little over 8 fuel. Okay, so that's perfectly fine there. We take a look at where our parts are. So we're lowest here on the rear wing, which was to be expected, and we're going to go for the fastest pit stop possible. I've sort of learned to ignore this because in most cases it doesn't and really can't take into account the strategies that people are running, whether they're a two-stop strategy, a one-stop strategy, or so on. So it's really hard to know there unless you know for a fact that all the cars you're racing around are on the exact same strategy as you and coming in at the same time as you. All right, so we're out to a 5.6 second lead. That is awesome. Looks like our tires, we still have 50% left in the tires, so that is great. All right, Sergio is going to come out, and for the time being, their prediction was correct. He's going to come out in about 17th, which is perfectly fine because we expect more cars to come in probably next time by. But it is interesting always to see who's running what strategy. All right, I'm really going to keep an eye on the pits. All right, looks like the 2nd and 3rd position cars are running the same strategy as us because we're now on lap 8. All right, Sergio is back in 13th. So it looks like a bunch of cars are running the one-stop strategy, and the two-stop strategy is really not where it's at. Okay, because of that, we're left with really, let's go up to at least neutral. I don't want to burn the tires off. But at the same time, I think, yeah, let's go up and go ahead and just push. Because if everybody's running a one-stop and he's on a two-stop, he's going to have to make up time somehow. All right, so now we begin lap 9, and tire wear is doing great. 37% is still great. Our tire heat is great. So we'll go ahead and set up our pit stop now. Put on our next set of tires. And for fuel, we need to run 9 additional laps, which puts us a little bit over 12 is what we need. So 12.81 should be perfectly fine there. Condition looks like we're going to make it just fine. I was a little worried about the rear wing, but it looks like we're going to be fine there. And of course, we'll go as fast as we can. Looks like we should come out 4th to 6th, but again, I have my doubts about how accurate that's going to be, since everybody else should be coming in to pit very soon as well. All right, looks like there are some pit stops going on because we jumped out to a huge lead here. All right, so we'll see how the pit stop goes. He comes in with a nice sized lead. Fuel goes in. Oh, and there was a mistake there. We'll get a good... All right, so again, we're going to leave this strategy as is. For now, Sergio, of course, he's going to be working those tires pretty hard. But again, I think we really have nothing to lose with him, but to have him press as hard as he can. All right, so we come out, and as things come out, we lost a little bit of our lead. I think it's probably due to the mistake that we had in the pits. Also, it could be because the other cars are pushing much harder on their tires right now. We'll see how that goes. Also, could be that the cars behind us are simply running a much different strategy than us. Maybe a 2-stop, maybe, who knows. So now we've got Sergio up to 4th. We're going to back down because he is roasting those tires, and we need to last... Oh, I didn't realize that. We just need him to last one more lap. So we'll go ahead and leave it as is and let him get everything he can grab performance-wise. All right, our lead is quickly evaporating as the second place car is honing in on us. All right, now we're ready for Sergio to come in for his final pit stop. Let's see, he's got enough to run. Yeah, he won't have enough to fuel to even run any more than that. He'll run 6 more laps there, which is a little over 8. Okay, so that'll put us fine there. Parts not looking great, but I think they should hold together just fine. All right, in fact, we're going to have Sergio for this final lap that he's out on the track. We're going to have him go full attack mode. All right, so it looks like our tire heat is a little bit low right now for Rodriguez. Not a lot. It looks like it's still coming up just a hair. All right, so we need Sergio to really attack for all he's worth right now as he comes into the pits. Okay, he is now in. I'm going to go ahead and bring this down to just push for him as our lead is quickly evaporating over second place. Looks like he is on the soft tires rather than the super softs, but he's got quite a bit of wear on those. So he's been on them quite a while. It looks like I would estimate at this point that he's going to be coming in for another stop at some point. Okay, our lead over him is starting to grow a little bit, and that's likely because the third place car has now caught him and is in a battle. All right, we've got Sergio. You can see his tires are heating up, but again, we're going to have him go as hard as he can here, and I'm going to put him on attack mode here over the last few laps. Don't want to quite get there with 4 laps to go, but I do want him to push as hard as he can. Oh my goodness, the engine is really taking a beating here. Okay, so we're going to have to ignore that, but at the same time, let's see, wow. All right, we're going to have to back off a little bit, and we're going to have to see how this goes. Let's see, let's take a look at Sergio. Okay, looks like he is overheating the tires, but if we look at him on track, he is close in behind. His condition, wow, okay. So we're really giving it all we can here and straining the parts. I did not expect to have any issues out of the engine. So we got 3 laps left. All right, and he's talking about, okay, his rear wing and his engine, nothing is really looking good. Let's take a look here. So we are not looking good at all with either car. We have a nice sized lead as we come to 2 laps remaining, and we're trying to nurse home. We got 4.3, 4.4 seconds ahead. Oh, wow. Our condition is dropping quickly. Let's go ahead and back off a little bit more. Again, trying to keep an eye on this, on our lead here, 3.2, 3.3. This is going to come down to the wire. We're on our final lap here, but the condition of the car is terrible right now. We're at 9%, and a risk of a breakdown is huge. In the meantime, we got so concerned with our parts conditions that, here we are with Sergio. He is in 5th, and let's go ahead and just have him give it everything he's got, and let's see what he can do. We come into the final corner, and Rodriguez will take the victory. In the meantime, Sergio looks like he is not going to be able to catch the 4th place position, but overall a great result for us as both cars come in the points. This should strengthen our lead even more in the team standings, which of course is the ultimate goal. So we come home 1st and 5th, just missing a podium spot for Sergio. All right, we'll let the race go ahead and end. Looks like we got a couple of cars that I see here are limping their way home. The final condition, 9% there. And okay, so Sergio ended up with a little bit better condition overall in his car. Wasn't expecting that. All right, as we move through the upcoming screens, it'll be interesting to see how many cars get caught during scrutineering. Of course, we don't have to worry about that. All right, let's see. Soft tires for a one-stop strategy. Interesting that they would run 8 laps and then 10 rather than what I chose to do with 9 and 9. Looks like most everybody, of course, other than Sergio, was on that strategy. Looks like we did have another car having to come in and pit, probably for some repairs, I would imagine. Could also be the tire wear issue. But yeah, a lot of one-stop strategies here in this race. Let's go ahead and continue on. Scrutineering, not an issue for us. So let's take a look, see if anybody got caught. No, doesn't look like it. All right, so we get the bonus for the pole position. That is, if this thing would stop with the auto scroll, we get 2 extra points for that. The fastest lap bonus is also 2 extra points, which we did not get. All right, so always nice to get the trophies for race wins. Now, in the driver championship, we now have an even stronger position, now up 28 points over the 2nd place driver. Sergio stays in 7th. In the all-important team championship, we now have a 31-point gap, and now we are over double the points ahead of Thornton, who is in 2nd place. So a great result. Hard to expect a whole lot more than that. I'm especially very pleased with Sergio, who even on a 2-stop strategy had the speed to get up into the top 5. So morale looking great here. Again, the weird morale stat for Rafael, although I'm not going to complain too much because it is at 80% after all. We lost a little bit more happiness here. Again, I'm not exactly sure what that's from. We got a new unlock because of our relationship status now maxing out at 100% with Rafael. Car condition drops slightly slower. That's probably not going to be beneficial to us ever. But I suppose it's nice to have. Maybe during the first few races of a season that might be good. So we'll just keep that in mind. All right, so we lost 170,000. Not a big deal at all. All right, so we'll end the video here with another great performance, coming home 1st and 5th in the driver standings, further increasing our team championship lead. Thank you for joining me in our Let's Play series, and stay tuned for more Motorsport Manager.